This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
How you doing, Jason Glick?
I'm good, John. Yourself?
Not too bad. What do you have on tap for us tonight?
Well, this is kind of a weird subject for, like, I guess what is best described as the dead of February. But because of the stuff that I wound up, reading, it's like, my shipments from like places like Amazon and, the good guys at cheapgraphicnovels.com, I wound up with a good number of comics that, like, kind of bill themselves as horror. The stuff that's kind of like meant to scare you. It's meant to, like, like you can read, like you read them, so you're left like shaken, unsure of your place in the cosmos. And then when you go to bed, it's like, memories of them that keep you awake at night. It's like, like stuff that gnaws at your soul and like makes, it's like and leaves you fearful for, like, the things that are living under your bed. It's like or just like, like clawing at your window. So, but that's in theory anyway, because for me though, comics has always been a hard medium to give a horror through. It's like there's some stuff like that. A lot of stuff's been advertised as such that just doesn't do it for me. I mean, like, it just doesn't convey like the like that same fear of the unknown that the best kind of horror stories do. It's like I've been kept awake at night after reading Stephen King stories. Last year, it's like I managed to get through Alex Garland's Annihilation perfectly fine. Like in the I was watching the film itself, but then I was like when night came around and tried to go to sleep, I was just kept coming back to that thought of the monster that screamed like a human. So it's like that kind of stuff that gets to me. But comics, like I said, most of them, not all of them, like do manage to like it's like you're just kind of passing by. And then there are those that kind of like wear horror as an affection. It's like saying, hey, this is meant to be scary, but it's like it doesn't really pan out that way. And that's what brings me to the first topic of this podcast, and that's the Immortal Hulk, by one of my favorite writers at Marvel, Al Ewing, and with art by Joe Bennett. Now this is like the Hulk came back in the pages of event. It's like of the Avengers. It's like No Escape series last year. It's like, was it No Escape? I can't remember. Oh, No Surrender. There you go. Okay, and basically, Ewing was positing the idea that ultimately, like the Hulk, who had been killed many times prior to his recent death in Civil War II, just couldn't die, and that basically when even if Bruce Banner is able to be killed, it's like in the course of in the random course of things, it's like the Hulk will always come back once night rolls around, and so that's kind of like the thrust here. It's like you've got this. I mean, but the thing is, like, the first issue is really does not inspire confidence. It involves a guy who tries to rob a gas station. Things go badly. He kills a girl, shoots Bruce Banner in the head. It's like he's only able to make out with the couple $100 that he needs to pay back like some of the interest on the loan he owes this biker gang. But then it's like once this guy goes back to pay the biker gang, well, things start going bad. Like people start there's these earthquakes, like lights go up, people start dying, and it's like people are off panel, like people are like the biker guys are being dealt with, and one guy's saying, "Oh, I know you. You're like silence." So and then we see the Hulk show up in front of this guy. It's like to remind him of the bad deeds he's done. And it's like, well, no shit, it's going to be the Hulk. I mean, the series is called The Immortal Hulk. Of course he was going to show up there. There's no horror here. There's we all knew what was going to happen. It's like, oh, it's like, yeah, what? You don't think the Hulk is going to show up and punish these guys and show this dude the error of his ways? Of course he was. That's kind of like how all these kind of superhero like stories go. And the same goes to the second issue where he winds up investigating this town where this guy's used some with this one guy's using gamma radiation to try and help like make his son powerful, and also to help himself escape the claws of death. Things go badly, and the Hulk shows him the error of his ways by ripping off his limbs and imprisoning him underground so he can just live. But hey, he's gonna live in a hole underground. Things don't get more interesting until the third issue, where we get three different artists, like Paul Hornschmier, Marguerite Savage, and Gary Brown, in addition to Bennett, showing different perspectives on this. It's like on this one guy who's attacking a church and holding some people hostage in hopes of getting some help for his girlfriend. And while there's lots of fun stylistic some attempts seeing how different styles play together, such as Bennett affecting a classic 60s Marvel look to his work, Paul Hornschmier giving nice indie gloss to his pages, Savage showing us how things look from a slightly delusional old lady's romance tinge perspective, and Gary Brown giving us the grim and gritty take on things. It's okay, this is the kind of cleverness and ingenuity that I expect from Ewing, and it also wraps up the story in a nice way, showing us as we were able to piece together what actually was going on with this guy who had powers that he could shoot lasers from his hands, but it's this it was interesting to find out what was really going on, and then it sets up the involvement of Walter Lankowski, otherwise known as Sasquatch from Alpha Flight, and his history with Bruce Banner in college, and how he's got his own gamma irradiated, and how his gamma irradiated transformation relates to the Hulks as well. In fact, the story doesn't really get interesting until that final issue, when we find out that while Lankowski he still has the ability to transfer into Sasquatch, he's actually been possessed by another entity. This entity actually being the one person who scares the Hulk and especially Bruce Banner, and that's kind of what really gives me hope for this series. I mean, once we see at the very end of the story issues collected here, because this also reprints an issue from Avengers No Surrender that indicates that, oh, hey, Ewing was setting up this stuff for a little while, wasn't he? That was kind of neat. So when it shows that that the Hulk has actually welcomed this one presence who really worries him and Bruce Banner into his body and into his mind. Okay, now I'm on board. Okay, it's I want to see where this is going, and even though it's this sound got a lot of praise for its quote unquote horror infused direction, like I said, the horror aspect of the series is negligible. It's just an affection the series wears to distinguish itself. But as far as storytelling goes, like I said, eventually Ewing makes the series worthy into following, and Bennett, well, he's doing some really spectacular art from beginning to end. So yeah, so overall, I'm definitely going to keep following this. But as far as a series that wants to scare me, nope, not happening. Not even going to give me any pause. It's pause as I consider this. Now, a better step in that direction is A Walk Through Hell, Volume 1. It's The Warehouse, from Garth Ennis and Goran Sudzuka. Now, it's I've got all the time in the world for for Ennis, like due to his work over the years on Preacher, Punisher, The Boys, Hitman, lots of other series. Even though I will concede that he has been like very hit or miss lately, especially when like he's focusing on comedy stuff for DC. I want to forget, it's like his recent Six Pack and Dog Welder miniseries and his Dastardly and Motley one as well. So let's forget it. So let's do that and focus on A Walk Through Hell, which involves two FBI agents. It's like Shaw and McGregor. Shaw is like she's approaching 40 years old, working for the FBI, and her younger partner McGregor is, it's like still holding on to his idealism. It's like, and they wind up, being called into this warehouse, and it turns out that there's something bad lurking in here, like something supernatural. It's like something that caused a whole SWAT team to put their guns to each other's foreheads, then kill them and kill each other that way. So, but specifically to them, it's connected to a recent case they did involving a child molester who supposedly killed himself like as a result of their investigation, and like the fault they suffered for their careers, they suffered as a result of that. Well, as we go into this warehouse, it's like we get to find out like the truth behind that investigation into the child molester, and it's not pretty. In fact, I guess the problem with this series is that it's like it probably would have worked without the supernatural aspect, because it's like Ennis has always had a good handle on like the moral obligations of people in really tough situations, be it wartime, it's like, or like when you're faced up, or when you're working for law enforcement. With The Walk Through Hell, it's like he just can't, like I said, introducing this supernatural element does rob the it's like the story of a lot of its like actual power. It's like in the sense that it's like these people are like facing the consequences of their actions, but wait, it's actual supernatural presence that's doing this. And also the fact that we kind of know what's going on here. I mean, it's like we see what's happening to the people inside the warehouse, and we're able to process it. Like when you're showing us a guy who is like shooting himself in the head forever, and we see this, and okay, I can understand that. That makes sense. I mean, it's like it kind of with in this case with horror, it's like when you're able to wrap yourself around everything that's happening in here. It's like it ceases to be scary. I mean, even when said child molester makes an appearance at the end of the series, along with some supposed nightmare creatures that are like harassing one of the other FBI agents who was in the it's like who is in this warehouse. It's like I said, it makes sense. Makes sense from a visual sense. Makes sense from a storytelling perspective. And so you're not scared. I mean, I get the feeling that like Ennis wanted us to like live in these awful, horrible situations, but it just doesn't work because it's like we're able to like completely wrap our heads around what's going on. And while Suzuka's art is really quite good from a storytelling perspective. I mean, his most memorable image comes really early in the series when a guy's wife and daughter are shot like in the middle of a mall, and we're just and this is like a real thing that we have to process and make sense of. But then once the supernatural stuff starts showing up, Suzuka's art is like I said, it's too clear and too real, like too grounded to like really like get us to consider that what we're seeing here is something like horror, something awful and otherworldly. So I mean, it's like I really like the fact that Ennis is like indulging in the more serious side here, which is, to be honest, like the side of him that I really have the most time for, like these days. This one is really kind of a miss, and if I do, well, I'm probably gonna pick up the second volume anyway, just because like I said, I like all the stuff he's done over the years, so I'm pretty sure this is gonna end all right, if not spectacularly. But this isn't nearly in the leagues of his best work. So, and to that end, like I said, I mean last week I mentioned that is that Punisher, the Platoon, was my second favorite thing of last year. Well, yeah, it's like you're probably just better off reading more of his Punisher stuff than this thing right here. So, but I'll be back later this year to let you know how it shakes out, and if it gets any better towards the end. So now, closer to what I like to see from horror is another miniseries from Image that got a lot of buzz last year, being kind of like in the same vein as Get Out, in that it's racially charged. It's a racially charged horror story, basically involving a racist ghost that feeds on hatred. Now, I'm saying this because this is a description I got from the writer on Pornsak, who I saw at an Image horror panel, it's like last year. And Infidel, like I said, it's about this racist ghost who feeds on hatred, lives in a racist ghosts really that basically they're living in this New York apartment that was such of a terrorist, quote unquote terrorist attack. It's a couple months ago. Now the story itself picks up like a little while later, and introduces us to Aisha. It's like a woman who is married to a Caucasian man with, and his stepmother to their daughter, and has a mother-in-law who is initially seems to be pretty a pretty decent person initially, until we find out really early on that she was really kind of anti-Islam. It's like early on, but she's changed really. So, and that's the kind of situation we're left with in the beginning. It's basically involves Aisha just dealing with these modern day concerns, and also the fact she hasn't been sleeping well lately. That that she's had these visits from ghosts or strange people. It's like in her dreams. It's like and during the waking hours as well. Like she's kind of in a bad place at the moment. But in the story initially, focuses on her experience as an Islamic American woman who has to deal with certain prejudices, and also ghosts that feed on these as well. So on one hand, Infidel, no, it's not in the same league as Get Out, to be sure, but it's got some good message of tolerance, and especially it's got a message of tolerance in terms of using it to give the ghosts pause before you enact the one thing you're going to do in order to take them out. It's that's something for the end of the series. But as far as a horror story, it gets closer to what I want to see from horror in comics. I mean, Aaron Campbell has the artist has some great shadowy art to it, and there's some scenes, especially when we see the cordoned off areas of the upper level that do kind of get into this horror of the unknown, that there's something bad here but you just can't articulate as to what it is exactly. And some of his ghosts, probably would have scared the living shit out of me had I read this when I was much younger. But the thing is, like, there are some parts that I feel that there's one part that I feel should have scared me that I keep coming back to, and it just doesn't make sense because there's one scene where Aisha is just having a nice hangout session with her friends, and they're talking about things, and then like as it's dead normal. There's nothing going on. It's just there should be some sort of supernatural activity to this series. The seed, and then in one of the final panels on the page, you see this horrible face appear like amidst these plant leaves, and you think it's like, and my gut reaction is like, I should be scared by this. This is a normal scene that has been interrupted by something abnormal. Like, but I keep looking at this and I think, wow, this face is just kind of like, the more I look at this, the more, like I said, the more it just doesn't become scary. It's like okay, there's like a face here, and I should be scared, but it's not just like this complete perversion of the normal. This feeling that like what I've been seeing, that I've experienced, like, is unnatural. So, I mean, overall, I mean, like, the series is good overall. It's like it's like I said, it has a good message of tolerance, and it's modulated in the right way to make me appreciate it. But as far as a horror story, like I said, it doesn't quite scare me. So yeah, it's like it gets closer. I mean, it touches on some of the stuff that does worry me, and I can appreciate that. So, but to get an idea of what really scares me, I gotta go over to something called Likely Stories. It's another of Dark Horse's entries in the Neil Gaiman library, and this is and all these stories are adapted by Mark Buckingham, who had a long, like, very fruitful and successful run on Fables, and also knocked it out of the park during his first run of issues on with Miracle Man, also with Gaiman. Now, this volume doesn't have the same, like, artistic variety that defined those Miracle Man issues, but the stories, are interesting in themselves, because we've got one. First story involves a venereal disease that ultimately catches a man, a guy who winds up dating an old woman who has a penchant for very fresh meat. It's like, and and a guy who is obsessed with this, winds up becoming obsessed with this one woman, this centerfold, who is always 19, no matter whenever he sees her. And it's a nice. And listen, it's interesting, like, look through, like, one guy's, like, journey through the decades. It's like, but the real gem of this series is collection is called Closing Time, and it involves like the unseen narrator, basically talking about this time that he met up with these three kids. They piece together all the pages from this girly magazine. It's like out in the countryside, and then they go through the brush to this this unknown estate, one that has an odd little building on its premises, and it's also one that's got this really creepy doorknob, like a devilish looking imp on it. And like the older kids dare the narrator to knock on it, and then the kid knocks on it, and he does it, and he can kind of swear that it twisted underneath his hands, and the door opens after he does this, and so they dare him to to go inside. And they said, and and the narrator responds back, "No, I knocked on the door. I dare you guys to go inside." And then they do this. And as the other older kids go in, the door swings shut behind them. So the kid just waits. Sun goes down, door opens, nothing comes out. And then once that happens, he just runs the fuck away. And it's this part that really gets me. That, just that you just don't know what happened here. Like, these kids just go into this building for don't know what's happened to them in there, and then the door opens. Just well, what's gonna happen to the narrator here? And I will say that that Buckingham does do a good job dramatizing the kid running away from this. Just that whole fear of the unknown, the idea that you don't know what's in here, and something bad has happened. You're just not gonna ever know what happened to them. Now, that being said, you do get some context for it in the last couple pages, but it's not really like the context that really explains things or really reassures you, which is the most important part. So yeah, it's like, I mean, compared to the other stuff in the Neil Gaiman library, it's like there's been better stuff released, like How to Talk to Girls at Parties, or Study in Emerald. It's like okay, so just better things from or Murder Mysteries. Yeah, that was a great one too. But there's one, like I said, there's this one great moment in Likely Stories that also kind of underlines what kind of gets me about horror, in comics. But there is one more series, in fact, one that's not native to these shores. That would be Mail by Hosui Yamazaki. Now, those of you with very good memories that name might ring a bell, because he is the artist of the Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service. But he also illustrated a 3-volume series called Mail, which Dark Horse republished, and thankfully it was only 3 volumes, because I don't think Dark Horse had the wherewithal to publish any more after that. But Mail had a simple premise, in the sense that it's about this one guy, Reiji Akiba, who was a medium that could seal ghosts away by shooting them with his special gun and bullets. Now hear this and think, okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, shoots ghosts with bullets. Hey, nothing wrong with that. But the thing is with Yamazaki is that Yamazaki's got a really well-grounded style, something that definitely looks it's normal. So it's kind of when it's and while that works fine in the Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service, in Mail, however, it becomes something that's a lot scarier, because it's something where he's just describing, even when he's indulging exposition, just to set the scene and all. There's in this first volume where this one lady gets a letter from the previous tenants about just setting up this house is haunted. Let me tell you about all the ways it is, and you should get the hell out right now. I mean, yeah, that's kind of silly, maybe a little dumb. But then when you get to the one moment when this new inhabitant looks around, and there's this normal apartment, and then you see this girl's head with hair dripping down from a corner of this it's like of this passage between rooms, and you think, wait, this is a normal place, but that shouldn't look like it. That her face shouldn't be there. And then when you see when it like shows a close up on her face on the next page, and you think this is not normal. This is not right. It's like it's what Mail does well that really gets me is just like its communication of an utterly normal space that's been infiltrated by something that is otherworldly, something that doesn't conform to the notions of this normal space as we know it, and that's kind of what gets me for horror in comics. It's like, just this idea of establishing this perfectly normal area and then subverting it, like with an abnormal presence. The Immortal Hulk couldn't manage that at all because it's still a superhero title at the end of the day. A Walk Through Hell couldn't do that because it's like the art and the storytelling was basically designed to make you comprehend everything that was put in front of you. Infidel tried to do that, but the art, it's like as moody as it was, couldn't quite get there. Likely Stories pretty much did, and so I definitely appreciate it for that. But as far as these things go, in terms of horror, I mean, Mail, it's like go ahead and buy that. That'll keep you up at night, and so will that one bit in Likely Stories. But as far as reading value, I mean, yeah, it's like the Immortal Hulk is worth reading on its own terms for not being even if it's not a horror, even if it fails as a horror series. Like I said, Likely Stories, yeah, it's not the best of Neil Gaiman's, the best of the Neil Gaiman library at Dark Horse. Like I said, Infidel, it does kind of want to be the comics answer to Get Out. It isn't, but it's still worth reading anyway. Walk Through Hell, worth reading for NS completists. Mail, well, shit. It's like I said, it basically exists solely on its virtues as a horror series, and it fulfills those admirably. So there you go. So yeah, I guess what scares me now, and if I had any common sense, I probably should have done this podcast in October. But hey, that's not how so the chip to me works out. So there you go. I got a lot of stuff that's going back on my shelf now because hey, it all came together for this specific podcast. So John, any thoughts on your end about all this as far as what scares you in comics or whatnot?
I always found comics and animation to have it as an interesting medium for horror because it it's a little bit more difficult to do. So
the bar is higher.
Yeah, the bar is higher. Higher.
So I mean, has there anything that scared you in that regard?
No, not really. That's my thing. It's like, okay, there's some inference points you can read in manga and things like that, and it's like, oh god, no, but generally speaking, yeah, it's a challenge, I'm sure, I think you've done a good job of pulling some of it out. So that's about all I really have to say about that.
Okay.
You know what you're going to be talking about next time.
Okay. Well, next time, hey, it's like we've got a big movie coming out based on the series I've talked up, for a good long while at the site. That'd be the
Lego
Battle
Movie
Angel.
2. Oh, sorry.
Well, I'm going to see that one as well, but I'm definitely going to see like the Battle Angel Alita movie. Oh, excuse me, Alita Battle Angel.
Oh yeah, don't forget that. Okay.
Yeah, but I've already talked about the series proper, so it's a good thing that Kodansha has provided a whole volume of stories that it's like haven't been reprinted. It's like in English before. So I'll be talking about Battle Angel Alita, Holy Knight, and other stories next time on the podcast.
All right, I'll catch you later on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, later, everyone.